Hang in there. It is. Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show, and we're excited to bring a new guest on the show, one of the more recent winners on the PGA Tour, Andrew Novak, who won the Zurich Classic alongside Ben Griffin. Really fun conversation to share that Smylie had with Andrew. And we're going to do that via our friends at Ahead. And we've talked to you a lot about trust-based relationships. And this is one, Smylie, we're going to delve into some I want to say issues of trust, but you've partnered with Andrew Novak before. So delving into your relationship and the way that trust fluctuated up and down, we're going to use Ahead to do that. So Ahead builds and manages digital platforms that power the most successful organizations in the world. Their consultative approach, unmatched engineering, and innovative solutions combine to accelerate the impact of technology in every client that they serve. Ahead's longstanding relationships are built on outcomes and experience with both their clients and technology partners. Learn more at ahead.com. So Smylie, I got a little Ahead quarter zip rocking here. I'm headed out. So tell me about this relationship. You can maybe just tease a little bit of that story as well, but just the conversation with Andrew Novak. What do the viewers and listeners have to look forward to here?
Well, we've covered him over the last couple of weeks, of course, because of his great play, starting over at the Valero. It's been a run of top three finishes, third, second, then first, finally going bronze, silver, then the gold medal, winning, obviously, with his buddy Ben Griffin.
Podiums.
They've got a good relationship, him and Ben. It's pretty wild. Andrew and I got paired together in Sea Island. There's some pretty good stories involved, and actually Ben Griffin is a part of the mix when it comes to that Sea Island event. Andrew's a great dude. He's it's been fun to see him have so much success, and he's quickly been one of my favorite players to watch. Not only for how good he is and how talented he is, but he plays quick. But he also brings in the fans when he's having his conversations. He's just as good as Jordan Spieth when it comes to just lay out, let him talk. He talks through it, and you'll find out he's a pretty dang good analyst, not just golf, but talking shot when that's talking football.
That's right, fellow podcaster.
That's right.
So and a good one too, and a committed one. So talking a little ball with Smylie at the end of this podcast. Lots to look forward to. We're not going to delay you any further. Here is Smylie's conversation with Andrew Novak.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. We are joined by a recent winner at the Zurich Classic, Andrew Novak. Andrew, you're probably on a little bit of a media tour right now where you've done a ton of interviews. Have we had time to settle in and take in your first win on the PGA Tour? And what I just found out was your 100th start on the PGA Tour, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been good. I've been, home for this week, taking the week off, which has been nice. Getting just celebrate it with Maddie and some people at home. So it's still been a pretty busy week, doing podcasts, interviews, stuff like that, but it's been fun.
Well, let's just go to the Zurich Classic. And of course, you won with partner Ben Griffin, a good friend of yours. How did this team come about? Is this something that was decided earlier in the year? Who made the ask? How did this little partnership form?
Yeah, we talked about doing it for a while. We played a lot at home in Sea Island, and we typically play well when we play at home in Sea Island. We're known for taking people's money when we do get paired together. And so it's something we kind of talked about for a bit, just hadn't worked out. Ben had played with a past teammate in a previous year and stuff like that. So this year, I want to say, I think Ben actually asked me kind of early on, maybe January or something. And I'd kind of been waiting for that text. I knew we'd be a good team. So it's
kind of like middle school dating, right? Trying to figure out who's going to play with who. Ryan Palmer was the best. He played with John Rahm, Jordan Spieth. He was the best at getting partners.
I think he played with Scotty one year too. Maybe.
A lot of people need to go to Ryan Palmer and figure out how he did it.
Yeah. I want to say like, I think we always kind of thought or I always thought we would play together. I think it was always like kind of wrong time, wrong place. And this year it all kind of came together, especially going into the week. Like, Ben had played some decent golf earlier in the year. And I knew he had like a big chip on his shoulder after being essentially first alternate for the Masters and then actually first alternate for RBC Heritage. I knew he was going to be coming in ready, and I was coming off playing some good golf. So I think we were both like, we didn't like talk to each other like in depth about it, but I think we were both like pretty quietly confident coming into the week.
All right. So we all, of course, are aware of how well you've played over the last month. And, you know, when I was watching the winning interview from Justin at Hilton Head, they had asked him a question. Have you ever played with Andrew Novak before? He's like, well, yeah, I got, I actually played with him and Ben Griffin in a practice round last year at the Travelers, and they were in like a big match between the two of them, and you shot 59. Like, what the heck happened out there that day? Was it a Tuesday where you just got it going out at the Travelers? Was it like a legit 59?
It was a Tuesday. Ben and I started on the first tee. We're like, let's do a birdie game. Like, let's just do it. And I think we hit the turn, and I think we were both chilling at like 6 under at the turn, like just going nuclear. And we walk over to 10T, and Justin's standing there. Ben and I are kind of like looking at each other like, Justin, you want to join this, bud? And I think Justin said the best decision he made all week was not joining that money match. But yeah, we just kept going. I think I had it to 11 through 16, and it's a par 71. But I do think I made a bogey there on one of the last holes. I did not shoot 59. He was off, but it was very close. It was like 61. Ben and I talked about this week, actually, because we saw the interview. We think I shot 61, and we think Ben shot 62. Whatever I shot, I did not make money off of him. We split the match that day. So yeah, it was blackout.
Well, all right. Well, tell me about your 2024 season, because 25 is going to be easy to talk about, but 24 for somebody, I of course, like, I have you favorited on my PGA Tour app because, of course, your wife Maddie, who is great for me for 3 years, helping me out with travel, this and that. Of course, now following you around on the PGA Tour, but you know, I've always been a fan of yours ever since you and I have played some golf together early on in your professional career, but. Last year was interesting, right? Because you were right on the cusp of being in and out of that 125. It felt like for me most of the year, but you were playing better than that, it felt like, and just never quite was able to get the breathing room that you needed. How stressful was 2024 for you? Of course, knowing that you got to keep your guard.
Yeah. I mean, I finished 86 last year, but that was Bermuda, second last event of the year, was a solo second. So
that's right.
I don't remember exactly what I was before Bermuda. I think I was like,
you were safe though, right? Like,
I think I was safe, probably. Like, maybe there was some mathematic way where, like, if I miscut last two,
enough to you'd be looking at it, you'd be thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the year before that, I had finished like 124 or something like that. So I mean, I had been essentially on the bubble for
2 straight years.
Yeah, 2 straight years. Last year was tough just because, like, looking at my stats, looking at my statistical profile, I was very, very good. My entire season, I was about as consistent as it gets. I hardly missed any cuts last year, but I just didn't have any top finishes. Like, I would finish, like, on my good weeks, like, 12th or something. Like, I would never finish worse than like 40th or 50th, but like, you need those top finishes because the points fall off so quick. Like, looking at all my stats, my strokes gained, like, I was awesome last year. I was very happy with how all that ended up turning out. I mean, I think I finished like 4th or 5th in stroke average on the PGA Tour last year.
Wow.
I was top 20 or 25 in total strokes gained. Like, all of my stats were good, but it really did not turn into, until like Bermuda, didn't really turn into any win opportunities or top finishes. And so that was something that really going into this year, and honestly going into last fall, because I did go into the fall, like, I think I was like closer to like 100. Mm-hmm. So like I was pretty safe. Mm-hmm. You know, if I had like a disaster fall, like it could have been maybe close, but I was going into it like I had 6 events in the fall. I made it a point. I wanted to like be in contention in like 2 of them. And that's something that like going into this year, I'm trying to like make sure I'm putting myself in contention, just because I felt like it's something I needed to do to get more comfortable being around the lead. I was able to do that last fall, which I think was big for this year, to get me comfortable for being like with being up near the lead. I think my Saturday scoring has like greatly improved in the last. I was always like a terrible Saturday player for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, because a lot of guys, when they get to Saturday, it's finally we're playing with house money. We're not playing threesomes. We're playing twosomes. You're a quick player. You like getting going. I'm a little surprised that Saturday's been tough on you.
Yeah, so this year has by far been my best Saturday performance. I've always been like a poor Saturday player, but a pretty good Sunday player. And so I like, I'll come into the weekend, kind of drop a bit, and then Sunday make like a little move up. And that's what I was doing a lot to like finish top 20s. But you have to have good Saturdays if you want to finish like top 5, because you got to be up there. And actually, that's a good point you bring up about the twosomes, because there's been like a lot of talk like how many final groups I've been in recently. The best I've played by far was the Heritage. That's the only final group that I've been in that was actually twosomes. All of the other ones were threesomes. And if you remember
Valero,
Torrey Pines, the pace was brutal. It was so bad. And that, like, I was struggling with that. And then same thing at Valero. Like, I was, playing in threes.
That was a death march.
Yeah. Brian's not like the fastest player. And he had the lead. And so he was really, making sure what he was doing was what he wanted to do. And the wind was right where he wanted it to be and stuff. And I was not really handling it great, I don't think. So it was really nice at Heritage to be playing in twos, which was a lot more my speed, where we were just getting up and going. And it's the same thing in alternate shot. Like, you're playing in foursomes, but it's only 2 balls. Like, we played, 4 hours basically.
Right.
And I would say like that is definitely an advantage for me to be able to play at that pace.
Yeah, I want to go back to the original thing you just talking about how you wanted to play your way into contention. Well, of course, easier said than done, right? Like, everybody says, I would love to be in contention, would love to be in final groups. And of course, you had this quiet confidence because you look at your analytics, your stats, and you're like, I'm playing good golf. But other than, not being in a twosome, whatever it is, was there something that you flipped on a Saturday that you think maybe could have been the difference? Was it more of an aggressive mindset? Did you is there anything that you feel like you did differently, I guess, on the weekend?
Not like nothing major, but it just like a conscious effort in my brain to just like, I want to be putting myself up in these positions. Like, you talked about like sometimes, you can get to the weekend and get a little bit complacent, like, hey, we made our cut. And based on what I was like seeing from last year, like my Saturday scoring was not good. And I was having good tournaments, but that was essentially costing me chances to win. Yeah. So it's been like kind of a conscious effort. Like, once I make the cut, it's like, that's not just the end of it. Like, we're going to keep pushing. I have 36 holes to chase down the leaders basically from whatever position I'm in. I don't like, I mean, the fact that I'm thinking about it and it's working, I don't know if there's like a correlation there, but like, it's definitely something that I've wanted to like, it was definitely something that I wanted to allow myself to do, because like, I think every level I've played at, it's taken me a bit of time to get comfortable, to gain confidence playing against whoever I'm playing against. And I figured the next step for me was to be putting myself in contention, because I knew it could happen. Like, the first time you put yourself in contention, you win, but that's not really how I've been at each level. Like, in college, I didn't really get going. I didn't win until my junior year. Like it took me some time to like figure it out. So I wanted to like really put myself in some positions because I know when I do, I'll get better as it goes, but I need to start giving myself those chances to learn about myself in those positions. And then obviously I've done that, and now it finally pays off with a win last week.
Well, and then these signature events this year, I see the Pebble Beach, you finished 13th, Genesis 13th. You got a second place finish, obviously, in a playoff at the Heritage. But heading into the year, you just talked about where your FedEx Cup was as far as the ranking is considered. And that's outside of the top 50 heading into the year. So coming into 2025, I imagine that your goals were to try to play yourself into these signature events. Of course, these sponsors invites are very political. A lot of times they go to the most popular player. I'm sure there's been times that you felt like, hey, I probably thought I deserved a spot. But how much pride do you take that you earned your way into these fields? And not only did you earn your way in, you've played incredible when you've had the opportunity to compete. How much confidence has that given you when you go up against what is deemed to be the best fields on the PGA Tour and you're on near the top of the leaderboard just about everyone you've played?
Yeah, it was definitely something that I wanted to do this year. I played – I don't even know if I played one of them last year, actually. I can't remember. We can get our stats. We can get our stats department. I think my first one was this year. So, yeah, it was something that I definitely wanted to do. I knew like when I got in them, I would probably play well based on just like a lot of the elevated events are on tough golf courses. They kind of took a lot of the premier events, but a lot of the premier events are at tough golf courses, which I think fits my game. Obviously Genesis got moved this year, but I got moved to Torrey, which is still a very tough golf course. Like Torrey South is no joke. So I think that has helped me play well in those events. I tend to do better in events when, shooting a couple under each day is a pretty good score.
Yeah.
I know Heritage, we got to like 17, but behind Justin and I, it was like 14. Like it was, if you shot 4 under a day out there, like that was really, really good. So I think that has helped me in those events. I think the fact that we talked about it, but pace of play in those events is much improved. It was twosomes every single day at Heritage. That was like the greatest tournament I've ever played in because we literally played in like 4 hours every day. It was awesome. Like you're not really waiting much. You're not having to like deal with that. I do think that that's something I'm gonna have to like work on a little bit. I think that's a area that I've realized, especially after Valero, that I need to improve in, of like how to handle like being slow played essentially. But in those twosomes and those elevated, it's kind of nice flying around.
Well, let's go to the Valero Texas Open. I got to watch your entire round on Sunday, and the hole that I want to turn to here is the 9th hole. And if you're watching the Valero Texas Open, it was, I think, the most pivotal hole the entire tournament. Brian hits one out in the woods right. It takes an unplayable, plays it basically right in front of your ball. So all of a sudden, I feel like you were probably down maybe 3 shots at the time. That feels about right. I'm not sure if that's quite right or not. But I just remember your second shot there was the opportunity that you were looking for to like, okay, this is my time. And I watched you probably hit the best shot you've hit the entire year. I mean, this was the most beautiful looking 5-iron. Is that?
It was a 6-iron.
6-iron.
Yeah.
Beautiful flighted shot that just pierced right through the wind and goes to the one place that you could not hit it. And so you get back there and you're thinking to yourself probably, how are we here? What just happened? I was literally just given, the door was just completely open. Brian was definitely peeling at that time. And I imagined Valero Texas Open had to hurt a little bit because you were playing some really good golf and you hit some good shots.
Yeah, I hit some good shots. I didn't think I played particularly well in general on Sunday.
It was hard though, Andrew.
It was
really hard.
But based on how I played like earlier in the week, I thought I wasn't quite as sharp on Sunday. with that said, that second shot on 9 was about as good as it gets for me. So unfortunately, it was wrong time, wrong. I don't know. The wind just didn't touch it enough. It's funny, if I hit 7-iron there's no chance it gets there. No. There's no way it would have gotten there. Maybe it was a little aggressive, but like I also could have hit that 6-iron, missed a little bit, and not even gotten there. Like it's just that's how the wind was.
Even you just if it lands on the green, it's just rolling over the back, and you could probably get that up and down. But it flies the green. You're just thinking, how is that possible?
that was tough. I mean, I flagged it because I knew, like you had said, I knew it was a moment. I think I might have only been down 2 at the time. It was either right? 2 or 3. It was either 2 or 3. I think Brian might have just made like a birdie on the previous hole or something. Yeah, so it was either like 2 or 3, but either way, like I knew I had a 2-shot swing right in front of me because he had already dropped and then chipped out to like right next to me. So he's hitting for par 4, and I'm hitting for 2 from basically the same spot. So there's your 2-shot swing, and I'm like, if I can give myself a look here, if I can flip this into like a birdie double situation, go straight to the back nine with a ton of momentum. And so I was really maybe amped up, and I put a good swing on it and just hit it in a terrible spot. Maybe looking back, maybe I should have hit the 7 just to make sure, because like anything short was pretty fine there. And that's where I ended up after my first chip, because there was no way to actually like hit the green from where I was. Like it wasn't that bad a chip from short, but
we hope you're enjoying this conversation with Andrew Novak. If you're watching on YouTube, you, of course, noticed his very large, manly beard he's got rocking there. And that's a great excuse for us to talk to you now about a partner of ours, House of Atlas. So, Smylie, you've had a chance to shave with the razors now, use all the products. We love the smell of the aftershave. What do you enjoy most about the House of Atlas shave experience?
The shaving cream. Big fan of the shaving cream. It smells incredible. Easy to spread. And it's definitely a little jealous too of Andrew Novak's beard. Can't ever really grow a beard. Never been great at it. But a big fan of playoff beards. And I think that's underrated. Good for him as he's 6th in the FedEx Cup and most likely should make a pretty deep playoff run this year.
This is a complete tangent. Do you feel like he looks like a bearded version of Sepp Straka? Or am I way off there? Not even a little bit.
Just the Strixon hat's just blinding your vision.
It's just I've got such a connection to the lid they're wearing. I just felt like, because Sepp's going in the other direction. Speaking of guys and razors, he's started to kind of shave the head. So I just feel like copy and pasting some of his hair onto Andrew. Maybe they look the same, maybe not. But yes, Andrew owns a great beard. Maybe cleans it up with the House of Atlas razors. And you can do the same. Now for a limited time, they're offering 15% off your first order when you purchase any razor kit and the before and after set, which includes the Precision Shave Cream and Calming Aftershave, both of which Smylie, of course, loves. Use code Smylie at houseofatlas.com. That's HOUSEOFATLAS.com with promo code SMYLIE for 15% off your new razor kit and before and after set. Stop wasting money and time on shaving products that don't look good, aren't effective, and cost way too much. Visit houseofatlas.com today. Let's get you right back to Andrew Novak.
What's like the learning process for you, knowing what a good score is on a Sunday, or maybe not even just a Sunday, but when you've played 100 times on the PGA Tour in varying different conditions, and knowing where you get to a hole like the 9th hole, and you have that back pin. Of course, like you're aggressive in nature, you like to make birdies, you believe you can hit the shot, but how much have you had to kind of almost rely on a little bit of a green light, yellow light, red light system of knowing when to attack and when not to?
Yeah, that was my caddy and I didn't talk too much on that hole about like I wouldn't have necessarily called that a sucker pin. It's just the way that green is so small.
It's ridiculous.
I probably needed to like just make sure my miss was in a different spot. Like you got to make your miss in the proper spot. There's not necessarily like a safe play to that pin. It's not like, oh, I'll just hit it to like 25, 30 feet. Like that's not like actually a thing to that pin. Like there's a big slope. Like you either are 45 feet putting up the ridge or you're very close to the hole. Like there's not really an in between. And so probably like putting it, short of the hole somewhere where you're at least chipping into the wind, is definitely like to my advantage. But realistically, we didn't actually think that club could go long. That was something we hadn't really considered. It was blowing a lot. We'd hit other clubs into the wind that
got hammered, right?
Yeah, the distances should have matched up. It was just the way I hit it in the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe, because I did flight it, so the wind didn't touch as much. Like, it's tough. That's golf. And like when you're playing in conditions like that, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Like the wind's not going to do exactly what you want it to do, or, you get funny bounces, whatever. But I like that kind of golf because one, you have to be a good chipper because you're not going to hit every green because things are going to go wrong, which benefits me. And two, I pride myself on being pretty patient on the golf course. Like I like tournaments where if I make 5 or 6 pars in a row, like especially if there's some good pars, like that's not a bad thing. I don't like making pars and then just feeling like I'm getting lapped. So like certain events, that's definitely a thing. And
that's why you're sitting here talking to us during the middle of the AT&T
finals. Well, it did it's playing 7,600 yards and it's soaking wet. I mean, it's soft. I'm sure guys are gonna make birdies, but still, I was literally watching like coverage a little bit ago. Dudes were having like somebody had 230 into 10. I've hit like sand wedge into that hole like multiple times.
Well, we'll see what happens this week with Barry Nelson. But you definitely had a well-deserved week off. And it's always interesting to ask this question because not many players ever have the opportunity to have a putt to win on the PGA Tour. And you had that moment at Hilton Head, and you in a place that you care a lot about. You had so much support from friends and family. Honestly, feeling like you're the home team. That had to be a pretty cool feeling. Yeah. And you're standing there on the 72nd hole with a chance to win the golf tournament. What is going through your head? I'm just generally curious. Were you able to focus in on the moment not being too big?
I knew I hit a good wedge shot in there, but you can't like see the surface of that green because of the way the bunker's raised up. So I thought I had like 15 feet or whatever. And I got up there. I was like, oh my God, I just did an awesome shot. I'm like 8 feet from the hole. And I was obviously excited, but I was kind of like feeling it too. Like I was thinking like,
you started to feel like legs.
I knew like this is the biggest putt of your life. Like, hit a good one. I've been putting good all week. And I went through my process. I didn't want to like change up my process. Like I think I saw like 1 or 2 people talk about like, why'd he putt it so quick? Like that's how I play. I do everything quick. Like I didn't want to like leave my process of what I was doing. I read it, from the side, read it from behind, had what I thought was a pretty good read on it. Maybe in the moment being excited, hit it a little hard for the line I picked, but I don't think it mattered. I think I had already misread it enough. It wasn't going to go in. I think that green, like looking back, I think that green sits way more exposed than anywhere else on that golf course. I think it was more baked out. I think there was less grass on that green than maybe all of the other greens. So I think
the grain's not going to take it as much.
Yeah, I think I overplayed the grain a little bit, and the wind was holding it up from that side. So on coverage, like looking back at it, it didn't really have a chance. It wasn't very close to the hole. In the moment, it wasn't a bad putt. It was, I do think like kind of when I hit it, I kind of realized I hit it a little hard. I was trying to like be aggressive with it. And so maybe should have gone a little lower line because of that, but
can't leave it short.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Were you, when he got in the playoff with JT, of course, the guy's got a lot of experience in winning PGA Tour events, but you also know that he had a lot to play for too. So I'm sure heading into that playoff, you knew that he probably was nervous. You're nervous, but you still get up there. You have an opportunity to make a birdie, and then you have to sit there and kind of watch JT hit his putt. A lot of times in match play, or just when you're playing a round of golf and you're playing against a guy, and you just have that feeling that there's no way he's going to miss this. Did you have that feeling at all?
Yeah, I really, I had my birdie putt, and when I was over my birdie putt and looking at my birdie putt, I wasn't really like thinking like, I have to make this. Yeah. I was trying to hit a good putt, but I was really like, I was locked in on my read because I just misread the other putt. And so I'm trying to like figure out, I'm 20 minutes ago, I just whiffed on a read pretty bad to this hole, and now I'm putting on like a somewhat similar line. Like I need to lock in on what I'm doing here.
Right.
And I kind of maybe got a little caught up in the line, didn't quite give it enough, although I misread it again. It was definitely going to miss low. It broke more that time, but kind of after I marked my ball, I walked back. I had like 3 feet for par. So I was kind of like thinking about that. And then I looked over and like JT, I could see him walking into the putt. And I just kind of got this feeling like, oh man, he's going to make this. Like
at what point when that ball was rolling, did you know that it was,
it just had like that perfect speed, that perfect roll on it. It was about halfway there. And I was kind of like, I think that's in. And then it just never did anything to make me think otherwise. And then I watched I guess they had like the worm cam from behind on I mean, it was went right in the middle. I mean, it was not going anywhere else. It was truly a perfect putt. That's tough golf hole. Dude just beat me with a birdie. Like,
yeah, totally
tough. But
so heading into the Zurich, we do one and done picks every single week. And, luckily for me, I said, you know what, this week I'm going to take Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak. I don't care if Novak is worn out from last week. I feel like these guys are motivated. They're going to go out there. They're going to win this week. And of course, you guys made me look smart. So I really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
As a man who likes to be right sometimes when it comes to who's going to win a golf tournament. So big congratulations to you guys. And with the Zurich Classic, so both of you two had not won yet on the PGA Tour. I'd watched both of you in final groups have opportunities, be very, very close.
Yeah,
I thought it was such a great dynamic because you two both kind of just pulled each other to the finish line, whether it was you on Sunday being a little bit off and Ben kind of having his moments. And then earlier in the week, watching you just like play some incredible golf, making so many birdies. What was Sunday like for you? I imagine you probably at that point in the tournament, were you out of juice at all? I mean, it's been a long run for you with being in contention.
I honestly, I felt pretty good. I think of any week, last week was probably the easiest for it because you have a partner to like kind of pick you up, but it's also like 2 alternate shot days. You're only hitting like 30 something shots on those days. So it's not so bad as far as
I think about it. That's kind of nice.
It's not so bad as far as that. I think I was just a little off on Sunday. I'm not Sunday, like Friday and Sunday, I'm not playing my own golf ball. I was playing Ben's ball. And so, a little off on the chips with that. The irons, like I wasn't quite swinging it great. Like I wasn't like
it's
bad.
Not easy. I mean,
I hit a couple like actually like poor golf shots, but for the most part, I thought like Sunday, a lot of my shots were just like C golf shots, like very average, never really hit anything close. Not like bad, not necessarily leaving Ben in like terrible spots, but just not quite.
You left him in a great spot on 17 with that ball when it's in the air where you're like, uh-oh.
So the one thing about 17, I had like a ton of people like text me like, oh my God, like, I thought you were in the water for sure on set. Like I thought, and I'm like looking back and I'm like, man, that was a good golf shot. Like I landed 6 feet from the hole. Like it just landed. There's like one like brown downslope slot it landed on, just took off when it hit. But I mean, it was a golf shot.
Hell yeah.
And so then
especially after watching one go in the water right before you.
And so then like, this was like 2 days after I actually got around to watching the highlights. The shot tracer on 17, like wigged out.
Oh, it didn't start that far, right?
It goes and then stops and then like it. And I'm like, okay, I kind of understand why people were freaking out now because this thing is not. It like had my ball starting like almost close to the hole and then showed like a draw. But I started it. I gave it plenty of space. Like it never like water wasn't ever in my mind until it took that huge bounce off the downslope, and then I was like, sit. But even still, like that green slopes, like and the fringe slopes away from the water pretty heavily. I just wanted to sit down. I didn't think that club. I hit the club that I hit to land in the middle of the green and then work back there. I didn't expect it to fly all the way back to the hole, but that's probably just a little bit of adrenaline in the moment. But like I kind of liked the shot. We were, I didn't really change what I was doing based on them hitting in the water because we still had the Hoy guards in front of us. They drive at like 400 yards. Like they might have had 9 iron in 18 for all I know.
Well, they actually got TIA relief. I don't know. That's a whole other story.
Well, I saw that after, but yeah, I was still trying to stay aggressive. That was something Ben had like talked about all week. Like let's go get it. Like, and so. Yeah, but I didn't realize why people were freaking out as much until I saw the shot tracer. That definitely did look like it was kind of scary.
Y'all were playing with Jake Knapp and Frankie Sappin, and they didn't really make it easy on y'all. On 17, they hook it in the water, and then on 18, Jake Knapp has this wet shot. He lays sod on it, hits it in the bunker.
Yeah.
And so you're a sitting duck over there watching Ben Griffin hit a 50, 60 yard wet shot, and you're just like, oh my God, don't lay the sod, don't bone it, just get it on the green.
It was probably 35, maybe probably a 35-yard pitch, but he is going up and over that bunker. But it was right. I mean, it was right where we wanted to leave it. Like that was the spot to be. Give him all the green. And right when Jake did that, I looked at my cat. I was kind of like, man, that's like the last thing you wanted. I kind of wanted Ben to see there, like because I knew when Jake was hitting the shot, I knew I was like, okay, if he makes this, we're tied up. We can still get up and down and win. Because like I'm thinking about the leaderboard, and so I'm like. Kind of like, no way this goes in, right? And then he did that. I was like, oh no, that might be worse. Like, no, Ben's got to see that. But it's just like, I still had full faith in Ben. I mean, he's got one of the best short games in the world. He was kind of laughing about it after. He definitely played it like. I think we were joking about like you can't chunk it if you don't touch the ground. Like I don't he felt that one a little skinny, I think. But
he did. Okay,
it was fine. He did
that shot that same hole location, Kiz chipped it in like in the dark with Scotty Brown.
That was going in the water. Yeah,
I had no idea that him and Scott Brown could not chip that week. We had Kisner on the podcast, and he's telling us the story that Duffner's playing with him earlier in that week, and Duff had watched these two guys. They're literally like putting it from 30 yards away. And then on one of the holes out there on that day, they get a golf ball that gets like behind one of those little small bunkers to like a short-sided pin. And Duff looks over at Kiz, say, what are y'all going to do now? And then, of course, on 18, in the playoff or whatever it was, Kiz like bones one, hits the pin, and goes in. It's just like now it tells the whole story of, okay, chipping it at that place is not necessarily easy. So the shot that Ben hit is underrated in that circumstance.
Yeah, we had our fair share of good chips though last week. We had 4 chip-ins as a team. Wow, we were getting after it a bit. Although I will say 3 of those were on Thursday when for whatever reason they let us go lift, clean, and place, and that was a silly decision. But
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Well, I actually was thinking about this the other day because I mentioned earlier that you and I had played together earlier in your career, and this was coming back out of COVID. I don't think you had status yet. This would have been 2021. We're playing an event at Sea Island.
I was on Corn Ferry.
You were on Corn Ferry? Yeah,
I was Corn Ferry. I had just won on Corn Ferry like right before COVID.
Gotcha. Well, you were playing good golf. And my agent at the time, Jimmy Johnson, of course, you work with, he was like, hey, man, you need to go play. Like, I'm working back through things. I'm going to pair you up with Andrew Novak. I'm like, great. So I come down to Sea Island, and we, of course, play. You carry me. I try to just survive in advance. I told Charlie when we were talking about this on Monday, it's like, I'm surprised I didn't ruin his career those 2 days. He saw some things he shouldn't have seen as a young tour pro. But what came to my mind was I am 99% sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Ben caddied for you during that deal. I know that Ben caddied.
I think you're right.
He caddied out at Sea Island in an event I played in. And I was like, what other event would I have played at where we played the plantation course? Because I vividly remember talking to him walking down fairways, especially number 1.
But we played Seaside both days, though.
Dude, he caddied.
He might have.
I think Ben caddied for you.
He really might have, but we definitely played Seaside.
We definitely, maybe it was number 1 at Seaside. I'm thinking we're walking down. Anyways, what other event would Ben Griffin be caddying?
I actually think you might be right. I'll have to ask him on that. Now that you say that, I hadn't even thought of that, but
because I don't think he was back playing quite yet, because he had, I think he was like in that process around that time of
Yeah,
like
I mean,
working his way back.
We played golf every day of COVID, like every day.
Yeah,
like we were out there just.
Would that have been around the same
whatever.
time where that he had gotten the funding to go back and play?
I don't remember the exact timeline, but it had to be because I got my card that year. I got my card the next year.
22.
Yeah, and he got out on Corn Ferry and then got his card the next year.
I think he caddied for us.
So I think you might be right.
Yeah. Anyways, I just saw it it hit me when you guys were on Sunday. I was thinking, I know these guys are friends. I know they play a lot together, but then it hit me. I was like, he caddied for Andrew in our event at Sea Island. and this is just another part of Ben Griffin's story, right? Like going from winning on the PGA Tour now to having to watch me play golf and caddy for you at the COVID event in Sea Island.
We played all right, actually.
We hung in there.
In the team thing, I mean, you made some birdies.
Oh, I'll give you some birdies, Andrew.
Yeah, you gave me some birdies.
I'll give you some birdies.
I just was on my own about half the time.
Which is fine. It's
fine.
And good for you.
You're
for being a
teammate.
Yeah. I'll give you some birdies. I tell Charlie that's my MO now is I'll give you 5 to 7 birdies around, but I'll give you about 5 to 7 X's on a day or two. So, hey, it's fun. I have fun with it. Another reason why the Zurich Classic, you may have been more relaxed and you could take your mind off of things is that it's NFL draft week. I'm sure that constantly the entire week, all you're thinking about is what's going to happen on this Thursday first round. And then Friday, you're thinking about who's going in the 2-3. And the whole week was about the Shedeur Sanders show. But when I listen to your podcast, the screenplay podcast, as you can see visibly on the hat that you're wearing, if you're watching on YouTube, dude, you're like a legit analyst, man. Like when I was listening, I could not believe how much ball you knew about all of these different prospects. How much tape have you watched? Like, do you go and like legitimately find YouTube videos of all these players?
Yeah, I watch a bit of tape. I just watch a lot of football in the fall. Like if it's Thursday, like there's football on, I'll watch it.
Are you taking notes? Are you just taking mental notes?
No, not really. This is something Maddie can comment. I just don't forget stuff really. Yeah. Like kind of why I didn't have to study in school. Like if a teacher said it once, I was probably going to remember it. Like if I watch somebody play, like I don't know. I remember it.
WizKid.
I love watching football. I'll watch most any teams play. I liked watching some of the smaller teams play this year. I thought a lot of like the more dynamic players in college football this past year were actually at like smaller schools. I think I touched on a few of them in the draft, but like Jalen Royals out of Utah State, Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. He was super fun to watch this year. Ricky White, he ended up going 7th round. I think he was out of UNLV. Like they were just fast, fun to watch players that I got to see a bit of this year when they were on TV.
We're taking another quick break from Smylie's conversation with Andrew Novak to talk to you about Magic Mind. This is something that Smylie has used for a while and loved. He's got me on the program. I've got the mental performance shots. We've got the sleep performance shots. We've now got the mental performance gummies. And Smylie, I felt like this was a very appropriate cut in here because a lot of the conversation you had with Andrew Novak was about the mental leap that he's made this year. And just the things he's had to do and change and elevating himself to this level of golf that he always had in him in terms of talent, but just the improvements he's made and also the goals he has to make national teams, be on the Ryder Cup teams, things like that. I thought it was just an interesting conversation when it comes to the mental side of the game.
100%. And focus is so key out there, especially with really long days. He's a very, very fast player. And I think that's something that it takes a while for young guys to get accustomed to learn to play at the pace that you have to play at that day. Clearly plays well when he's played in some twosomes and, clearly has kind of figured out a way in which he can zone in and play Andrew Novak golf.
I love that because, a great way to wake up and feel like you're playing at twosomes pace, but also not rushing it too much is with the Magic Mind mental performance shot. It's a nice, calm sort of energy, a nice sort of calm focus. Supplement that with a little bit of these mental performance gummies later in the day to kind of keep that focus going, but not feeling jittery.
Man, I need that.
Oh, It's killer. And then you end the day with a little sleep performance shot and get your rest and start over and do it all over again the next day.
I got one of those in about 20 minutes coming.
I unfortunately have to stay up a little later, but I assure you that it's going to be the last thing I do before I go to bed tonight. So you got to check them out. Magic Mind, Smylie, and I both legitimately love using this product. Use it for on the golf course, anything, you name it. Just great to kind of keep the mind sharp. So check them out at magicmind.com, and let's get you right back to Smylie's conversation with Andrew Novak.
How did you think your Panthers did? Because I was, I follow a lot of, I love watching like all of Todd McShay's clips. It pops up on my TikTok, and heading into the draft, he was not high on the wide receiver you guys got out of Arizona. His grade was at like 50. Do you think that was a good fit and pick for the Panthers? Because I was watching a video that you said the Panthers really can't screw up this pick.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of options they could have gone, and the board fell about how I thought it would. I mean, on our podcast in the mock draft, I went 7 for 7 in the first 7 picks. So, like, I knew exactly who was going to be available for the Panthers slot. The Panthers was kind of the slot I didn't really know. You know, that's my team, and I had no idea which way they were going to go with it. I thought there was good options everywhere, and they went one way. A lot of the ways that people rate the Panthers draft comes down to where people have T-Mac rated. I think he was probably one of the more like polarizing players. Like some people are like, oh, he's the number one wide receiver by far. He's, you know, a top 10 player. And then some people didn't really like him as a prospect. I think the Panthers drafted very heavily to our needs. And Dan Morgan was not
needs.
We needed edge rusher. We needed really all defense. And then specifically like a weapon for Bryce Young. So we needed a wide receiver. That was probably about all we needed on offense. I saw we grabbed a running back as well. I'm guessing that speaks a lot more towards how Jonathan Brooks' knee is looking, which is super unfortunate because obviously we used a second rounder there last year. But anyway, we grabbed the wide receiver and then we grabbed a bunch of defense. I'm a little surprised we didn't address like off-ball linebacker, but 2 good pass rushers. We grabbed the safety, which we definitely needed. I think for the most part, we drafted specifically to our needs, and then it's going to come down to whether these guys end up producing, whether they're actual good football players.
Well, how would you say this draft was? Meaning is like, it just didn't felt like it had just the high echelon, like first round dudes like we typically see. Like there were so many players that I was like, really, that's a first round guy, huh? Like in years past, I would have said they would have been slipping a lot more. Was this class like much deeper with like more talent on the back end?
I think a lot of it is like, it's like a 2-part problem. So one, like in general, a lot of like analysts had this as a little bit weaker draft class, but also I think that the way the broadcast went down kind of undermined the quality of some of the prospects. Like Cam Ward goes 1, unbelievable player, unbelievable college career. You have Travis Hunter, this absolute unicorn of a player, like doing stuff we've never seen before.
Did you like that trade? Did you like the trade Jags did? Did they give up too
the
much?
Jags will sell more jerseys. I don't think they're necessarily going to win a ton of football games, but they'll sell more jerseys, so that's cool. Abdul Carter, unbelievable talent at pass rusher. Like there are good players, but if you look at the entire coverage of the draft of the first round, half of it is talking about Shedeur Sanders, who went in the 5th round. Now, why have we spent the entire first round talking about a guy who's gone in the 5th round? Like that's just undermining like what we're seeing all of these other guys doing. Mm-hmm. Like these are good players that are going, but they're not talking about the good players that are going. They're talking about this guy who's just sitting in a house waiting to be picked.
Did it surprise you at all? Like when I'm sure you followed everything with the draft. Did you see a world in which that he dropped to the 5th?
I had it in our mock. I had him going first round, but I thought that's just because a team was going to take him. I didn't think he was that level of a player. I thought he was more like maybe a day 2 player. Like I thought like where the Saints took Tyler Shuck, I think that would have been like about where I would have thought Shedeur maybe would have gone. I thought that was maybe the level of his tape. But look, if his interviews were as bad as some people have said they were, and you don't want to deal with the drama and like everything that's going to bring, I'm not surprised that teams just flat out took him off their board. Like it's not like in my opinion, it's not like it's a can't miss player. Like I feel like it's very replaceable. Like you can get a backup quarterback that can basically do what he does, and that's be reasonably accurate and reasonably on time. Like, there are backup quarterbacks that do that. They don't really have like elite traits, but they can just function in the offense. I think he would have done like well in like a Miami. I think that kind of offense would have fit him. A lot of like screen passes, a lot of just being, like boom, 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 going here with the ball sort of thing. But obviously he ends up in Cleveland. Fine, whatever.
What'd you think about them taking 2 QBs, Tilly Gabriel and Shador Sanders? Now they have 5 quarterbacks. Like, what are we doing here, right?
My co-host on the podcast said it literally felt like the Cleveland Browns had 5 different people drafting, and it was like, okay, you get this pick, you get this pick, and like by the end of the draft, it's all like, how has this been like what this turned into? Like, it's like there's no like logic behind any of it. The running backs I do kind of get because they are very different. Well, I don't even want to say very different. Like, Sampson's like a pretty physical guy, but yeah, they are different style. Like, I think Judkins a little bit bigger. Sampson's like a little bit more of a speed guy, which is fine. They're not going to have Chubb anymore. Jerome Ford, I think, is a good player, but maybe if he lost a few pounds, picked up some of that speed that he showed initially, maybe would be more helpful to have Judkins be more of the bruiser. But I think the Browns are definitely still a few years away from being good. I hope my caddy's not listening.
Wait, what was your favorite pick in this NFL draft?
My favorite pick?
Your favorite pick. So you're sitting here watching and you're like, man, that is the best value. That's the best fit for a team. It could be in any round. The one that you were just like, man, they absolutely nailed that.
In the first round, I hate this because, being a Panthers fan. In the first round, I really think the Falcons killed it. Their pass rush was so unbelievably bad last year.
Pierce? Is that who they got?
Well, yeah, but even before that, Jalen Walker somehow made it all the way to 15. And that's like the exact kind of player I think they needed. Like, I don't think a lot of people were expecting him to make it to 15. And so the Falcons getting exactly what they needed there was ideal. And then, of course, they did loop back and trade up for Pierce, which I thought that was a little bit interesting because you just grabbed the pass rusher. Now you have 2, which is great. But I don't know how much like Pierce is going to offer you first and second down. And you just gave up your first round pick. And I'm not convinced that the Falcons aren't just going to go like 5-12 anyway this year. So you might have just like given up a top 10 pick next year. That seems a little bit questionable. But that Jalen Walker pick was really, really good. I'd have to look. There's probably a second or third rounder that made it somewhere that I think.
Yeah. Well, we can
think about it for a bit.
We can stay here on theme with the NFL draft, but I want you to help me create the perfect prospect as a golfer. So I want you to think about all the different tools when you could talk about driving the golf ball, ironing it, putting, chipping, even fashion or mental game. Create the perfect NFL draft prospect for a PGA Tour player. So starting with driving and work your way down.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be Rory, right? Like the way he drives the ball.
I think that's where I'm going.
Yeah, it's got to be Rory. It's stupid what he does off the tee.
So we're going Rory driving.
Rory driving. I don't see any reason not just take Scotty's iron game. That
anybody else that's kind of close that you're considering other than Scotty? I'm with you here.
Specifically iron game. Like if you want to go underrated, like let's throw Tom Hoagie in there. Mm-hmm. His approach game is kind of nuts. Yeah. Colin.
Yeah, Colin too. Like, all right. So scrambling.
Me.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. We're in a create a player mode, and we got Andrew Novak now in the create a player here in this virtual world. All right. What about putter?
Denny.
Yeah, Denny.
That's probably the way to go, right?
I think I'm Denny.
Yeah.
Okay. What about fashion? Now we're dressing our player.
Not Keith.
So you're going Victor?
I don't know. Adidas makes some nice stuff. It looks a little better on Ludwig, but I'd say
he's got to go. You got to go corporate on us here.
Oh man, Nobody gets too crazy with the fashion besides Keith, which makes it tough because you can't like single out like any one guy. I mean, man, I can't. We're not doing a visor. Like we can't do Keith. We're not doing that. I'm fine doing a bucket hat. We can do the Joel Damon bucket, but like we're not doing a visor.
We got Joel Damon bucket hat going over the fashion. All right, one mental game that you think a guy's overall mental game is probably the best.
I can't use Joel again for that. Strongest mental game.
It's kind of hard because you can't look inside somebody's brain, but you can always observe what your perception is.
If we're trying to make this just like feel like an unbeatable force, like we can almost throw Peter Malnati and just
positive
drive people crazy because just the amount of positivity is like I'm losing to this guy by 6 shots right now, like, and he's being entirely too nice about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We got the creative player.
I think you're right. I think like a Xander or maybe like a Patrick Cantlay, like very. Like when I watch them play, they just seem very, very focused in on what they're doing.
Yes.
Very
like one shot at a time. Actually, it looks like it's one shot at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very structured. Like they know exactly what they want to do, what they're trying to do in the moment.
Yeah.
It feels very like not like robot, like scientific. Like it's like we're doing this and then we're doing this and they've got it down.
And you're now exempt into the majors because you're inside the top 50 in the world. You're 33rd in the OWGR. You're 9th in the Ryder Cup points list. And heading into the year, we already talked about it. You're 82nd in the FedEx Cup. Weren't in the signature events. Weren't in the majors. You've played one major in your career. And you're sitting here now and you have all the opportunities in front of you. How excited are you now to be able to not only pick your schedule, but prepare for the biggest events in the world, knowing that you're a player that plays really well on hard golf courses?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to do. I had some kind of bigger goals this year. I felt it was about time. Like I kind of took the next step.
Are you a guy who like, do you set goals? Like, are you somebody heading into the year? Like, are you write them down or you just
I think this year I've been a little more like bigger goals and trying to like tell myself they are achievable. Obviously like a win knocks one of those off, but like I have like bigger aspirations for this year. Like that was big, but that's not the end of it. Like that's a step towards what I'm trying to get to. I mean, you talked about the Ryder Cup, but Bethpage has been announced for a while. And when that was announced, I kind of had that circled. Like I wanted a lot of what I've done is to kind of make a run this year to see what I can do because that like with the New York fans there, I truly think it's going to be like one of the most unbelievable atmospheres, one of the most unbelievable Ryder Cups that we'll see. So it's been a good start, but I know like I don't have much of a background of like a resume to like point back to. So I feel like personally I'm going to have to like really show that I belong. Like I can't just be a fringe guy. Like I can't just kind of sleepwalk through the rest of the year and expect to get picked. Like that's not going to work. Like Keegan wants to win. And if he's going to pick me, I've got to like prove to him that I should be on the team. Because you can't just go off like, okay, this guy had one hot month in like April. Like that's not the Ryder Cup's in September. Like you can't just go off one hot month and assume that that's enough. I've got to, you know, like you said, I've only played one major. I have 3 majors coming up. I'm expecting I'm going to have to show like some good progress, some good golf in those because the Ryder Cup's about as pressure packed as it gets. The majors are about as close as we can get to that. I would assume like as far as like simulating that kind of level of pressure.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to show that I can handle that. I think it'll be good for me to handle that. like in case I am on this team in Bethpage, like I'm going to have some high pressure moments to look back on, to be comfortable to perform.
Of course.
I think having a home crowd will be a huge advantage. I think that will help immensely, but no, I'm excited. Like this is the start I was hoping for. And it's just, what can I use that to lead to? Like, can I keep it going? I mean, that's my goal. That's my plans. It's golf. Like,
of course,
never know exactly what's going to happen, but I feel good. I'm excited to play some of these courses we have lined up here in the future. It's going to be a little interesting. It's a lot of golf courses I actually haven't played.
Like Memorial is another one too, so, right?
It's going to be, my caddies will be working overtime. I'm going to be working overtime. It literally, like Heritage, like on Thursday, we're playing the first round and we're like sitting there scribbling notes in our book for like Saturday and Sunday, like literally learning on the fly. But I feel like we've been doing an unbelievable job, like communicating that. And
at least you're going to a PGA Championship that Quail Hollow is a place you're familiar with.
Never played there.
Really?
Never played there.
A Carolina Panthers guy.
Never played
Charlotte. I just when I think of you, I think of Charlotte. I just think
we were an hour from Quail in college. Never went.
Not familiar. I stand corrected. Andrew Novak
played there.
Never been on property. Never had one of those famous. Is it the churros that they have in the locker room?
Didn't even know they did churros.
I think it might be. It's donuts. It's some form of fried bread situation with some glazing and.
Never been there. Wouldn't know.
Okay, well, you're going to have to give a full review now because they're terrific. Gosh, here I am just putting words in your mouth.
No, I have not played Philly cricket. I have not played Quail. I have played Oakmont once, but not in U.S. Open conditions at all.
Well, it always is like U.S. Open conditions.
Well, I played it the one time it was not because I got out there with my caddy and it was like a week after they had the USAM. So they're actually like protecting the golf course a little bit because it was recovering from that. So the rough wasn't quite up. The greens weren't quite as fast. Like I'm very excited to see how that is. I have not played Murfield Village either. So there's going to be a lot of learning for me in this next upcoming stretch.
Are you a guy on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday who takes it light, though, Andrew? Are you somebody that, so not a ton of practice, maybe more like
an
on
ideal
course?
Week, definitely practice. In an ideal week, I spend as little time on the actual golf course as almost anybody in the field. I very much love playing 9 on Tuesday and then my 9 in the Pro-Am on Wednesday, and I'm good. But I'm also, like I said, my memory, the way it works, like I can see it once and I've pretty much got it. So obviously playing it a few times, like I just add on to that, but I don't want to spend a ton of time out there on the course just playing. Like I'll get my work done on the range, on the putting green and see it and go from there.
Well, I look forward to watching, man. It's been a great start to your season. Obviously, 6th in the FedEx Cup race. I'm sure the Tour Championship, of course, is on your mind too. Making it to Eastlake for the first time, and you also made a lot of money too. Made $5.5 million this year, so that's not too bad either. So, next dinner on you, Andrew. Next time we see each other, but gonna be cheering you on, man. And of course, love your family, and look forward to see you next week. So, I appreciate you coming on, and of course, if you're watching or listening. Hey, if you're an NFL person, go subscribe and like the Screenplay Podcast. This guy gives the goods when it comes to the NFL and, of course, giving the goods on the golf course. So, Andrew, we appreciate you coming on, man, and best of luck to you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Well, Smylie, loved being a fly on the wall for that conversation with Andrew Novak. Ton of fun stuff in there, including some football analysis that you just never know. These guys have a secondary passion. How seriously do they take it? And he takes it very seriously, and that was evidenced by his big board, the way he called some of those picks. So a lot of fun. And Andrew, by virtue of that win, his play this season is, of course, in the field this upcoming week at the Truist Championship being hosted at Philadelphia Cricket Club. And Smylie, to tee up a little bit of talk about the historical significance of this course and its designer, we're going to talk about a company that I promise you, if I ever got an invitation to Philly Cricket Club and I need to get there on short notice, I would be using ship sticks to get my clubs up there as soon as possible. They got a lot of great benefits and a lot of reasons why it makes getting your clubs there the fastest and easiest and most convenient way possible. They have white glove service, complimentary insurance, real-time tracking, door-to-door service, international shipping. But for me personally, where I'm at in life, and we've talked about this before on the show, is that it's the traveling with family, the managing the kids, the strollers, the extra luggage, not having to lug the travel case for the clubs and just sending that off and knowing that when I show up to the club I'm playing, the clubs are going to be there in perfect condition. That's probably the best part about ship sticks.
Yeah, of course. That's definitely the what you're looking for when it comes to your clubs, which, hey, nobody wants to play with a rental set. Even though every now and then you might find something in one of those rental clubs, that doesn't need to be something that needs to be a mainstay. But actually, Hoopy, one of my friends who was on the trip with us, he was saying that, yep, just drop my clubs off. We're ship sticking them home. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I do this every time. I'm like, good man. I've used it before. It's great.
Ship sticks gets you from your front door to fort easier than ever. They'll pick up your golf clubs from your home or office and deliver them on time, guaranteed to your golf destination anywhere in and outside the U.S. No more airport headaches, no more lugging heavy bags, just easy, stress-free travel for golfers like you. Enjoy 20% off your next shipment by using promo code SMILEY. So, Smylie, that sets up our conversation here about Philadelphia Cricket Club. And this course was designed, well, there are numerous courses here on site, but the course that will be played for the Truist Championship was designed by A.W. Tillinghast. He is one of these Philadelphia School of Architects responsible for many of America's golden era of architecture, these gems in the early 20th century, especially in that Philadelphia area. Some of his more notable works are both of the Wingfoot courses, both the Baltusrol courses, San Francisco Golf Club, Bethpage Black, Somerset Hills. He did a ton of courses, but that's probably at the top of his resume, and Philly Cricket right there with them. It's interesting. Philly Cricket hosted 2 U.S. Opens in 1907 and 1910, but both were prior to the opening of Tillinghast's design in 1922. They were played on the St. Martin's course. So that Wissahickon design opens in 1922, and most recently it's hosted the 2024 U.S. Amateur 4-Ball. So, Smylie, we're both very much excited to see this Tillinghast gym in action. You're going to be there working for Golf Channel this week before the coverage switches over to CBS. So you're doing a little bit of research on the course. Give us a little bit of flavor of what this course is going to feel like, what to expect, what type of player can reward as we head into the Truist Championship.
Well, we've had that conversation about PGA Tour venues and how we can play venues that challenge the best players in the world from an architectural standpoint, also what can interest the fan, and also a reason why people love Augusta National and the Masters. It's that you get to see it once a year, and it's so private that it's hard to get on. Well, this is another one of those places that is an incredible venue, rated very highly, and I think many people would love to see week in and week out. It's not necessarily a bomb and gouge. It's so well designed. I've gone through the hole by hole, and just really excited for the week. It's I think going to be a different challenge for the players. It's a par 70, only 2 par 5s. But I think the question that hasn't been answered yet, and I'm not sure how many events they've had, especially professional events, the best players in the world coming to their golf course, is it going to be long enough to test them? And based on my research and what I've seen, is I'm looking at all these holes and all these flyovers, and I see like this one bunker at the corner. I'm like, is Rory going to be able to hit over that? Or is he not? But when I look at just the length of these par 4s, we're talking about, I guess it'd be 12 par 4s and the overall length. I think most of these holes, depending on the weather, right? If they get a bunch of rain or something, or if it's cool, I still expect that, from what I've heard, that the golf course is firm, that it's going to be probably a lot of wedges. And it's a big golf course, meaning it's not just like in these neighborhoods. There's plenty of room and space off the tee. this guy loves that when I saw that. So you could find your golf ball anywhere. But the fairways, depending how firm they are going to be maybe a little challenging to hit as far as the space, mainly because the bunkers are so well organized on this golf course.
You know, it's interesting when you think about some of these classic, these sort of gyms we've seen, you know, where we've seen pro events be held, whether they're majors or regular events. I think about these, maybe not an exhaustive list, but thinking about Marion or LACC, where they're landlocked to a certain degree. Like they were built in again, early 20th century, and things were built around them. And as a result of that, you don't have a ton of additional space to expand into as the modern era progresses and guys get longer and longer. And so as a result of that, the concern always remains the same: is will this course be long enough? And I think where you end up at a lot of these places is the green complexes can be the defense, unless they're in a place where there's wind and there's weather and there are things like that kind of keep scoring down. But, you know, a lot of places, if they run the greens firm and fast and they've got all sorts of undulations, that's the defense. And then the downside to that is if you get a little bit of weather and it's soft, then that strips away the one thing they have to keep scoring down. And we saw that a little bit at LACC in that first round, where it was a little bit overcast. They got a little bit of rain earlier in the week, and you know, the guys kind of had it for the taking. So that is my fear at Philly cricket, is like seeing a course like that could present very interesting, not be firm enough for whatever reason to present a test. And then people go away, you know, they want to go away from it in years, you know, future, because that's deemed to be not hard enough for the PGA Tour, when in reality, it's kind of at the mercy of the weather.
It's a shame. I mean, it's just, that's the old equipment argument, right? And the modern player, it's so hard to test these guys. You need these perfect type of conditions. It needs to be swirling winds, right?
Yeah.
You need it firm. You need the greens to be, you know, borderline to where it's, you know, a downhill putt, you're worried about 3 putting. So you need all of these factors. And then of course you'll throw in some rough and then some, you know, good course design. And that's where you find guys struggling and then also keeping the score from being, you know, not a 20 plus under week, but being a par 70, if it got up to 20 under par, that means these guys really blew this place up.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? Have you heard anything in terms of like where the rough's going to be this week? Because of course, if you're looking at the Tillinghast resume,
I just heard it's firm. All I've heard is that it's been firm. I've looked up the forecast. They're expecting a little bit of rain, like Monday, Tuesday. I think Wednesday looks good. Thursday, Friday looks to have a little bit of rain, and then really nice on the weekend. Yeah,
because I mean, you look at a list that has Bethpage Black on it and say, "Ooh, you know, maybe there's room there to grow the rough up and present a little bit of test there." But if there's room to hit it, and I was just in the Lehigh Valley area a couple of weeks ago to see family, and it's kind of starting to get nice. They've had about a month of greening up since the beginning of April, so the hope is that's been enough time to really kind of get in primo condition. But I'm excited to see it on TV, as I am for any one of these kind of golden age courses, and let's just hope we get a good forecast and it presents a challenging test.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I think the most interesting about this tournament is, will the Bombers be at an advantage, or will the course be just short enough to where
brings guys back into play,
where Rory getting to inside of 100 yards maybe isn't like the craziest like advantage in the world, because other players are also that aren't quite as long still have, you know, just short irons into the green. That would be the one thing that I would say I'm looking most forward to figuring out is, are they all playing to similar spots? Because if they are, they're all hitting short irons and wedges into the greens. Then it comes down to, oh, shoot, I'm kind of looking at short iron players and good putters this week, because maybe Rory's strengths of being now this could change, right? Maybe he's one of the few guys that is, instead of hitting driver, you know, 4 to 6 times in a round where they're prioritizing hitting fairways, maybe Rory's hitting it close to, you know, 10 times in the round, or 10 or 11, 12 times, and just said, you know what, I don't care where it goes. It's like the Bryson strategy at Winged Foot. Let's just hit it as far as we can to get as close as we can to the green. Or maybe other players on some of these holes situationally with where these fairway bunkers are placed, which I love golf courses when you stand on the tee and bunkers make fairways look smaller. Like they're just hanging out like a cornerback waiting to pick off an interception. That's where I think when you stand on these tee boxes, especially when I do these flyovers, it looks like there's more rooms in these fairways. But I guarantee you, when you stand on these fairways, it's going to be like perfectly placed where you can't tell how far it is to that next bunker. But that one on the right, you're thinking, this fairway looks 10 yards wide.
You know what's so funny about that is like the advent of the drone for video production is, of course, an amazing thing, but it really does not tell the story of the golf course, because we don't fly over the course before we play the hole. We go stay on the tee box. And that's the thing that I think a lot of these architects around the turn of the century did so well, is just disguising bunkers and making you think the place that's actually trouble is the inviting place where you want to hit it, and the place that looks tough off the tee, that's actually the line you want to take, and there's space up there.
This course will have a lot of that. And that's a very, I guess it's not a links style course, but that's a links component. I think a lot of links golf courses do a great job of using bunkering and land to make it feel like your fairways are not as big as what they are. Well,
and I think it's interesting that you refer to what we just spoke to Chris Como about in his interview, talking about Bryce's strategy at that Wingfoot US Open, which is a Tillinghast course, is that, he reduced the simplification of the strategy in terms of bombing it to, if the fairway's 1 yard wide and everyone's hitting in the rough, of course the advantage is being further up. Now, obviously, it's not going to be taken to that level, but I think if you're looking at course setup, that if the fairways are wider, I think that does favor shorter players you can bring back into the equation, because if you're pushing the ball up and you're hitting into the rough, and the green complexes are going to be difficult as you expect them to be, and you're scrubbing spin off it out of the rough, it's going to be harder to stop. There's going to be no material advantage being further up when the guy further back can spin it just as much from the fairway. But so setup's going to matter a lot for sure.
I think it's going to be a really interesting leaderboard. I think it's going to have a good mix. It's not going to be just it's a signature event. All of them, I guess, are technically the top players. I think you'll have some wild cards in there this week.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I'll say just in terms of to wrap for my thoughts on it is just that I hope the comments coming out of it from the guys who play it are, we enjoyed this test. Like this was, we want to do more of this to encourage finding these venues in the future. I know this is a one-off sort of a sub thing, but my hope is that there's not a situation where some part of the course they don't like and a couple guys speak disparagingly of it, and then we go away from this in the future, because this stuff really intrigues me.
My guess is for Philly Cricket to take this on, especially just on a 1 year thing, they must have their mindset, or just sight set mainly on potentially getting a major down the road, getting a PGA, maybe get a US Open. If it goes well, who knows? I mean, Marion isn't the longest golf course in the world, and that was an incredible major championship they hosted.
And they have another one coming up.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I'm interested to see it. It'll be a good litmus test to see how it's going to hold up. Those members are hoping it's really, really hard. That's, I think, any member, you want a player to come to your course, you want them to think it's pretty challenging. So I hope that it's really hard for these guys, and I think everybody else is hoping for the same.
Well, can't wait to get the report from you when you were boots on the ground there at Philly Cricket Club, just taking it all in. So we have that to look forward to next, and then we are officially into PGA Championship week. So we're excited about getting you prepped for all the action at Quail Hollow Club. But Smylie, that's all I got, unless you have any final thoughts for the people on the way out the door.
No, all good, man. Let's get back to work this week.
Let's get back to work this week. Some good final thoughts. We'll talk to you back here very, very soon. See you.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the